And welcome to episode 25 of Mish Mayhem.
Mish Mayhem.
The podcast where we take the schoolyard conversation of, hey, which one of these fictional characters would win in a fight, and we talk about it on a podcast.
That's what this is.
Damn, I'm in the wrong place.
I mean, I don't think you are. I think you're in exactly the right place.
Oh, well, that's alright then.
It is. Unless, of course, this is a podcast about something else, like a podcast about scissors.
I don't know, I can think of a really good name for a scissor podcast. I could have waited ages and then edited it, I suppose, but...
I mean, if we were doing it...
I'd have called it Cutting Edge.
Oh, I was going to say we could pretend to be the Scissor Brothers. Like the Scissor Sisters, but with brothers.
But it's not sexy with brothers, though, is it? It's just awkward.
Well, I mean, it's only awkward in the way that it implies we, have some scissor sex. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
There isn't. I just don't understand what it would do. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who likes it, but I just conventionally don't think it would achieve anything for either of us.
No, I imagine there would be friction.
Quite uncomfortable, I would imagine.
Yeah. Let's not give that a go.
No. So, it being episode 25, and therefore a 5 episode, it's time we do a shout out to give back to the communities.
Community shout out.
That was an almost Zelda-esque theme tune, but I'm okay with that.
It's okay. There's no copyright on that. It's fine. I mean, I'm lying. There's loads of copyright on that.
Yeah, it's not like Nintendo are famous for being really pernickety over their things. Properties, that's the word. I was wondering if I could be really cheeky and do kind of a mini shout out before my proper shout out.
I don't care, mate.
Sure. So basically, do you remember when we had the episode with the Onion Knight and Inquisitor fighting in the back of a car?
Do you recall it? It was great.
So I did mention on that episode, it was one of the people I talked to kind of get some Dark Souls knowledge, was a streamer who goes by called Rach Howie, who streams under Don't Rage Quit, which is, I think, the best name for a streamer.
That's a strong statement.
It's the best one I've come across. I think it's a good pun. But she's recently just gone full-time as a content creator. She does that full-time now. So she's now, as well as doing stuff on Twitch, which she always did, she now has a lot of stuff on YouTube as well, which I guess before she kind of had some stuff on YouTube, but it wasn't as much of a focus. So please go and support her. She does a lot of stuff, especially if you like Dark Souls, because she's well into Dark Souls, hence why I asked her for advice on the Dark Souls episode. But also just she does a lot of other things in games and stuff, and is just a super wonderful, positive person and deserves some support.
Cheers.
So I just thought I'd like to put that in there, as I'd already mentioned her on an episode previously. But my kind of official shout out for today's episode is a new podcast I've recently come across. And I say recently come across because it's literally only just started a few weeks ago.
Fair?
Yeah, but I love it and it's amazing. And it's called What, but it's spelled W-U-T. And you can find it on Twitter at WhatPod. But it's really good. It's they have 3 people on each episode, the 2 people who host it, and then they always have a guest. And they bring interesting facts that they've done loads of research into, and they just sort of talk about it in a kind of edutaining way.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's really interesting. Some of the things I've learned on it have absolutely blown my mind, and it's very entertaining and really worth listening to.
Fair enough.
My main one I've been telling everyone because it's absolutely blown me away. The fact about snakes. Okay. Did you know that in snakes' DNA is all of the code for arms and legs, and that snakes are supposed to have them? They just don't have the gene that makes arms and legs grow.
Well, I mean, I knew they had little bones that are like arms and legs, but they're really receded and they don't do anything. But they do exist. It's like the same way that we kind of have a tailbone, but we don't have a tail.
Sure. I don't know. I'd never heard that before. I thought the fact that they have a genetic code for arms and legs, but no gene to grow them, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting.
Fair shares.
But there's lots of things like that, and they just go into massive detail about loads of stuff. They've talked about glitter. They've talked about the terracotta army. They've talked about snakes, as I was just saying. I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, which is really annoying because there's been some really cool stuff. They talked about why Asian people don't die in cinemas.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Well, go and listen to what, and you'll understand.
Are you on about why Asian people don't die in films, or specifically there is more people who are not Asian who die in cinemas than Asian people dying in cinemas.
Fictional Asian people in the films, not in actual cinemas.
Right, okay.
Yeah, if Asian people enter real life cinemas, they become immune to everything and can't die. It's a really unknown fact.
But only during the cinema exhibition, also known as a film.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's my big shout out is go listen to What. It's brilliant.
Fair enough.
Do you have something you'd like to shout out?
Kind of recently. I mean, I know I've told you about this, but I'm not sure I don't think I've done this on the podcast. And if I have, well, lucky boy, they get to. You and I, a long time ago, we used to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, you still play some Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so like every now and then, Yu-Gi-Oh! Things pop up on my YouTube, and I'll watch them because sometimes it's just like stupid little things that are interesting. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there's this one guy. I don't watch all of his content, sorry, but he does these interesting things where he has like some kind of challenge deck build where he takes him and another another big Yu-Gi-Oh! / online player, and they have a stupid challenge like you may only use cards based on food, and then they have 10 minutes to build a deck and then they draw them. The guy is called Simo with 1,000 O's on the end. It's not quite 1,000. It's quite a lot though. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So CIM 8 O's. Simo, it's quite a lot to listen to. For example, the last one he did was the food one. He's also done one where they could only use cards that give gifts to other players. He did that one at Christmas time. And it's just quite funny, and to watch these people like try and go through all these stupid combinations of cards and go like, how am I going to make a deck out of this? What does this do? What am I going to?
I'm really racking my brains, and I can only think of 2 cards that are based on food.
Well, apparently there's now a whole archetype based on food, but
really?
Yeah, they're like cool. Something, but is one of them you're thinking of Hungry Burger?
No, but that is a good one. That's a richer monster. Yeah, I forgot about that. I was thinking of Jerry Beans Man.
Yeah,
and Marshmallow.
Yeah, those are 2. I mean, their definition was fairly loose. So like turtles, people eat turtles, right? So most turtle monsters are in there, like crab turtle, catapult turtle, stuff like that. But anyway, it's quite impressive as well as someone who used to play it but doesn't anymore, to see how when they, obviously he's as the host had more time to think about this, but the way he can normally just rattle off like, oh yes, what about this card that does this or whatever, is quite impressive, and it's a bit of fun. So if you've got a spare half an hour, some of those videos are worth watching. I don't know what the rest of his stuff is, but he appears to post fairly often.
Now that we've done our friendly giving back to the community section, what are we doing today?
Well, if you recall, which I do for once because this is only like 4 or 5 days after the last one rather than 5 weeks. Last time we had Mewtwo, famous and excellent Pokemon, versus Lucy from Elfin Lead, who had her Mish and her Mash. And neither of those contestants will be joining us this week because they both have coronavirus. Because Lucy won her Mish, Mash, and her Mayhem, and Mewtwo was defeated.
Speaking of them both having coronavirus, you know what? Mewtwo does strike me as somebody who doesn't wash his hands.
And he's allergic to bugs.
Is that like a bad pun on like the flu being a bug?
Yeah, even though it isn't a bug because it's a virus.
It's a virus.
Yeah, whatever. That's
I enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah, that's good. So this week we have 2 new competitors coming in, both hoping to win a quick free bounce and join their ranks amongst the Hall of Fame, which is now 5 strong. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce them, tell you a little bit about them, what they're like, what they've been up to in their life, what kind of weapons or skills they might bring to the table in a fight to the death, and what their 5-point plan is for not getting coronavirus, and what their views are on panic buying.
As somebody who works in retail, can I just say that panic buying is the biggest load of horseshit?
It's so stupid.
I know, right?
It's so stupid.
Also, there was an official thing today from, I can't remember what the company was, but like the biggest manufacturer of loo roll in the UK, who said no matter what people do, they can always meet the demand for loo roll. So you don't need to keep buying it.
Yeah.
Because they'll be all right. There will be enough loo roll, don't worry.
Don't you worry. Yeah, I don't understand why it was loo roll.
I found that out actually recently. Apparently, it's because because a lot of people were saying, why are you panic buying loo roll because coronavirus doesn't make you poo?
Yeah.
But apparently it's because there was a fake news rumory thing going around social media in the way these things often do, that most of our loo roll comes from China. So people just thought the production would be disrupted.
Right, I see.
But that's not true. A lot of loo roll is made in the country. Don't worry about it, everyone. There will be enough loo roll.
I could see a small argument for thinking if they were going to be quarantined, they would need a couple of weeks' worth. But, I mean, the last time I bought loo roll was close to 2-3 months ago. I mean, granted, I'm one person, but I still have 7 rolls left. I mean, I'm going to be fine for a long time.
I tell you what it is. This is something you don't necessarily realise as a man. Women go through loo roll a lot quicker.
Well.
So I guess on households and stuff, or even women living on their own, will need loo roll more.
Well, anyway, we are right. Stop finding this stupid. I was quite happy actually that Great Yarmouth hasn't fallen into this frenzy yet.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, when I went shopping, I was pleasantly surprised.
The other thing about panic buying hand soap and hand sanitizer and that sort of stuff is you can wash your hands all you want. If the other people aren't, then it doesn't matter. So save some soap for everyone.
Yeah.
Just stop panic buying. Have a biscuit and calm down.
Yeah. Don't panic buy biscuits. Just have a normal amount of biscuits.
Mm-hmm. And the coronavirus is the same as any other flu. It's just stay hydrated and rest.
Well, unless you've got an underlying health problem, then go see medical help.
I mean, you can seek medical help anyway, but I was actually at the hospital the other day and there was a big sign on the door saying, if you have coronavirus, do not come in.
Well, yeah, but that's probably to stop people.
Exactly, but I mean, they tell you to stay at home, so...
Yeah, no. Anyway, right. I mean, I'm sure we'll come back to it eventually at some point because, we tangent like a mathematician proving things to do with circles.
Right. And you've already mentioned it 3 times and we're only about 10 minutes in.
What are you on about? How dare you insinuate that I was the progenitor? I mean, I totally was, but I like saying that.
Good evening and welcome to the bar. Join Dr. Wilko as he investigates the histories of your favourite spirits and your favourite cocktails while mixing you a drink at the bar. The other bars may be closed, but a podcast bar will always remain open.
So, as I guess I've been starting the last few weeks because Lucy's been ongoing, do you want to introduce your character first?
Sure. Can you remember the clue I gave? Because my memory is fucking woeful and I can never remember. No, I can't. It was something... It was something like he has a bad family life and a brilliant catchphrase. Yeah,
that you only watch films 1 and 3.
Yeah.
You don't care about the other.
Yeah, that was it.
The other ones.
That was it.
Yeah, that's basically his clue.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, or were very confused by the film one because you have different and therefore wrong opinions.
Whoa.
I'm joking. Everyone's opinion is correct. Whoa. It's just not necessarily right. This character with a bad family life and a booming catchphrase is, of course, John McClane.
Hooray!
Hooray! From Die Hard.
Yeah. Fan suggested by Katie. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah, thanks, Kate.
Oh, speaking of fan suggestions, sorry. I did have it at the end of last episode, but due to some audio issues, I had to cut it. So just reiterating for last episode, thanks for the fan suggestion of Mewtwo Wilko, and thanks for the fan suggestion of Lucy again, Toby.
Thumbs up.
Cool.
So, for those of you who don't know, John McClane is the main protagonist of the film series Die Hard. Now, you actually have a really fantastic Die Hard fact that I can't remember about it being based on some other kind of story or something.
It's based on a book, which I have read, and it's a very good book, called Nothing Lasts Forever, which features a cop, basically. Basically, it's the story of Die Hard. It's slightly different. There are a few differences, but essentially it's the same. But that is the second book in a series, and the first book had been made into a film several years beforehand, and the character had been played by Frank Sinatra. So when they went to make Die Hard, and they were like, hey, technically speaking, this role has already been played by somebody else, and due to various legal reasons, they had to officially offer Frank Sinatra the role as the main character in the film first, because he had played the character previously, even though by this point he was like 90 years old.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and he was like, no, I'm okay, thanks. And they were like, cool, that is exactly what we wanted you to say. And then they just hired Bruce Willis, changed the character's name to John McClane, so it was technically different, and then carried
Job's
on.
a good one.
That's it. And did you know that there was a massive controversy in the amount that Bruce Willis got paid for in that film?
Yes, because you told me before when you were telling me this before.
I can't remember what the figure was now, but it was like a few million. But at the time, that was like more than actors had been paid before by a significant margin, and everyone was like, it was about, I think it was something like 15% of the film's budget was just his wage.
Good old Brucey.
But then, it went on to become like probably the most successful action film franchise. Certainly up there.
It's pretty good.
Actually, it probably isn't the most successful because that would be James Bond, but
yeah,
one of the most successful action film franchises.
That's true. Anyway, thank you for that cool fact that I vaguely remembered but couldn't remember enough of. Die Hard, John McClane, main protagonist, he is a cop who tends to end up in awkward situations, normally involving terrorists and bad.
As opposed to terrorists that are quite good.
Yeah, as opposed to involving terrorists and good.
I suppose technically Star Wars is a story about terrorists that are good.
Well, it depends on what point of view is what terrorism is, isn't it? I don't think any terrorist thinks of themselves as a terrorist.
No, probably not.
Anyway, John McClane has starred in technically 6 films, according to this Wikipedia, because he had a cameo in Loaded Weapon 1, which I have no idea what it is.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. But essentially 5 Die Hard films. In each one he is the central character going around and kicking butt. He is most famous for Die Hard 1, which came out in like... What?
89?
Oh, it was... Yeah, that sounds about right. 88.
Oh.
Very close, very close. In which he is a policeman cop. Attends a Christmas party at a banky type place, and then the banky type place gets attacked by terrorists and Severus Snape. Alan Rickman. Hans Gruber. And he has to do something about it. He goes around essentially foiling the terrorist plot plan and saving his estranged wife. Not to be confused with a strange wife. She's a fairly normal wife. From the terrorists. In film number 2, it's Christmas again. And this time, some terrorist is being rescued from a plane or something. And some other terrorists are trying to get him out. So John McClane is all like, oh shit, they've captured the airport and holding it hostage. We better do something about that. Film number 3, someone's pissed off. The spoilers, by the way, like for all of these films. Someone's pissed off that he killed his brother. But he also wants to steal loads of money. So he finds a convoluted way to get revenge and steal loads of money. And he does steal loads of money. He dies. Also Samuel Jackson in it.
Also Samuel Jackson's in it.
I'm not selling it at all. But I'm just going through the key points of what John McClane has done.
Have you seen the films described badly? You're doing a bit more detail than what they do, but it's a similar sort of vibe of a trip through Die Hard.
In Die Hard 4, which was interesting, it was titled Die Hard 4.0 outside of North America, but in North America it was called Live Free or Die Hard.
Oh, so that's better. I like
anyway, it takes place on Independence Day. Some internet dweeb bastard is like, I'm gonna do some kind of virus and shut down everything, and it's gonna be a firestorm. I think they used the word firestorm. And then they also kidnap Bruce Willis's daughter, John McClane's daughter, and that's not a sensible idea, because he's a cop, so he goes around and he kills them. And then in the 5th film, A Good Day to Die Hard, came out on Valentine's Day for some reason.
Yeah, that kind of vaguely reminded, because it was like, hey, if you don't want to watch lovey-dovey crap, go and watch Die Hard.
Yeah. But you shouldn't have gone to watch it. It wasn't that good, but it involved him going around with his son and they killed some Russians or something.
It was genuinely awful. So for the Christmas just gone, because my wife had only seen the first Die Hard film, we sat and watched them as like a sequence over Christmas.
Yeah.
And after Die Hard 4, I was like, right, stop there. Even though I've got the box set of all 5, I was like, you can watch the 5th one if you want, but I won't join you.
I won't join you. Yeah, to be fair, like the 4th one, don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near as good as 1 or 3, but it's a pass. It's a goodish film. Like, it was enjoyable. It's not bad. The 5th one was bad.
Yes, the 5th one I genuinely regret watching. Whereas I think the 4th one, it's less realistic and gritty than the original trilogy, but kind of, I guess, more over the top and like a modern action film.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so bit about John McClane. He is quite resilient. You know, he's been a cop. He's been on the force for a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been a police officer since 1977.
Blimey.
So yeah, he's been on the force a while.
I was going to say, I knew by the first one he was already quite a...
Yeah, he was quite a senior detective. He's been on the force a while. He's quite resilient. In the first film especially, he is just kicked the shit out of by the tower in general, by everything in general. He has no shoes on for most of the film. He like walks across cut glass and is bleeding out. He jumps off the roof of a building and like with a fire hydrant hose tied around his waist. And
oh my god, just watch Die Hard. Isn't Die Hard?
So he shoots himself through a window. He like grabs onto an elevator shaft while falling down it. He beats up a German like face to face. By the end of it, he just looks like an absolute wreck, but he still pulls through. He is very, what's the word? Like, I guess impulsive. Like, he's not suicidal by any means, because in Die Hard 1 especially, he gets shown to restrain his, try and hide from terrorists, be clever about his engagements.
He's very tactically minded.
Yeah, he does think quite tactically. But that doesn't stop him from getting caught off guard, naturally. But he's definitely...
Well, he's inhuman.
He's definitely very... he doesn't really care what he's doing. There's one part in particular where these two terrorists are on a floor and they're shooting at some, like, super armored vehicle that the military are trying to use to get in, or the police are trying to get into the building. And he just gets some C4, ties it to a computer and lobs it down an elevator shaft and blows up an entire story of office building, essentially, just to kill two terrorists. He just doesn't care. He throws a terrorist out of a window, a dead one, to get the police attention.
I don't think it's a case of he doesn't care. I think it's more that he's not afraid to do collateral damage to achieve his goal.
That's probably more fair. Yes. Yeah.
Because he very much cares about what he's doing. He's very much trying to do what's right. It's just, I guess he very much lives on the end justifies the means.
Yes, okay, that's fair. That is a very, very reasonable thing to say. I mean, including in the fourth one, where he drives a car into a helicopter to some degree.
I mean, that is probably the coolest bit.
And equally, in the end, justifies the means again. He is not afraid to shoot himself through the shoulder to kill his captor. At this point, he's held at gunpoint by someone else who's like using him as a hostage, and he just grabs his arm and forces a shot through his shoulder, which goes into the other guy's heart because he knows anatomy. So, it's a pretty cool way to kill someone, to be honest. That was pretty cool as well, actually.
Yeah.
He was just like, yippee-ki-yay. He definitely cares about his family, though. He's in the first film, he's trying to rescue Holly. He does a good job. Holly's his wife.
The second film, he's trying to save her, too.
Yep. Although he's also trying to save a lot of people, not only his wife. In the fourth film, he's, going out to save his daughter. And in the fifth film, he's running around with his son. So, he's a bit of a family guy. And he's very rugged as well. Mm-hmm. And, to go along with the kind of hardiness that I declared earlier, as I just said, he shot himself through the shoulder and he lived to tell tale. He's taken a lot of bullets, actually. He's got shot in the shoulder before. He got shot in the shoulder in Die Hard 1 as well.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a hardy man. So what is John likely to bring to the table other than that? Well, as a cop, he's going to be armed with a gun. I don't know what kind of gun. I'm not American.
Handgun of sorts.
Yep, but pretty much he will have a handgun with him. If he manages to get any other kind of guns, he's very competent at using them. I mean, in the first film, he manages to get a machine gun. And he's
probably an AK-47 or a Kalashnikov, something like that.
Yeah, and he's very competent at using all weapons, but his weapon of choice, and the one, well, I say of choice, what he's officially equipped with and what he's going to be bringing to the table here is going to be some kind of handgun.
Standard issue NYPD handgun.
Yeah, pretty much.
15 shots and reload, according to Resident Evil.
Yes.
I know Die Hard's a film, so he never reload. Well, I mean, he does reload, but he doesn't have to count bullets. He has a convenient plot amount of bullets.
Well, I think John McClane has fairly realistic gun counts. and bullet cuts.
I think he does it parts. I think it varies.
Yeah, possibly. Interesting fact, all in all, throughout the 5 films, he's killed 73 terrorists. That's
Cool.
pretty...
How many non-terrorists?
It doesn't say, but presumably 0.
I would like to hope.
I assume 0.
Anything else you have to say on John McClane?
Not a huge amount, really. We've covered the main things. He's pretty resilient. He's definitely a ends justify the means, and he's quite strategical. Probably the ultimate strategic thing he's done is at the end of the first film when he has a gun tied to his back. So people think he's unarmed, and he just goes like, gun, and he goes bang, bang. One's a headshot. One is not a headshot because his wife was in the way. So it was just an okay shot. You know, it was a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
That is Rougher Duff McClane. Old Joe.
Cool. So my clue last time was that my character is a Marvel character who is on a team.
Oh yes, I remember.
And she has powers that revolve around having other people. And of course, I was talking about Rogue. Now in stereo. So, Rogue first appeared in the Avengers Annual number 10 in 1981 as a villain.
Really?
But yeah, she originally appeared as a villain because her backstory is she ran away from home because various reasons why teenagers run away from home. But after running away from home, she was adopted by Mystique and raised within the Brotherhood. And therefore raised as a villain because the Brotherhood are like the bad guys to the X-Men. But it wasn't too long after her first comic book appearance that she ended up joining the X-Men. Most of Rogue's backstory is actually sort of shrouded in mystery. It wasn't until the Rogue series of comics, which came out in 2004, so 23 years after she was first introduced, that her backstory was sort of really gone into. Before then, it was only kind of odd little like hints now and again, but she's not really like a character that was properly delved into. But there's still quite a lot of mystery in her backstory, to the point that her surname has still never been revealed.
Oh.
And like I say, it wasn't until these comics in 2004 that people found out what her real first name was, which is Anna Marie.
Anna Marie?
There has been a few times in previous comics where she's taken the name Raven as an alias, but that is actually only because that's Mystique's real name, so she was kind of like using her adopted mum's name.
Fair.
But yeah, so she's been... And then some interesting things for you is to show sort of how popular she's been since being introduced in the 80s. Because let's be honest, being introduced in the 80s, as far as like Marvel characters go, I mean, she's still relatively newish.
I wouldn't know. I'm not a massive Marvel boy.
The first Marvel comics came out in the 40s. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, because obviously Captain America was World War II propaganda originally.
Well, to be fair, if she came out in the 80s then, and they originated in the 40s, then she's halfway through.
About halfway through. Yeah. That's it. So approximately halfway through the Marvel history. So yeah, to kind of give you an idea of how popular she has very rarely left like the comic mainstream, and like she's always been involved in X-Men comics pretty much as long as like since she's joined the X-Men. And in 2006, she was ranked the number 5 best X-Men in IGN's Best X-Men list. In 2009, Marvel ranked her as the number 3 toughest female.
Really?
Yeah. Which is, if that was a Marvel official thing, I mean, that's pretty crazy. I don't know if it necessarily means, when it says toughest, necessarily means like the strongest, or if it's just like resilient of character or whatever, or maybe a combination of the two. I don't have the details, just the award she won.
Yeah.
And then, possibly from a slightly different vein, but also something to do with her popularity. And unfortunately, I don't have the year for this, but she, in Comic Buyer's Guide list, she won number 10. She was ranked number 10 in the sexiest women in comics.
Who was number 1?
I don't know.
Oh. I'm going to Google it.
I only have you can Google it. I only have the Rogue fact. But, that's just kind of they're all from the 2000s, I suppose. But, that's kind of a show of how popular she's been.
I have Red Sonja down.
I don't know who Red Sonja is.
No, neither do I.
But that's a bit about her and how popular she's been. But let's talk about what she actually does. So she is a mutant who has an involuntary power. So on physical contact, She absorbs people's memories, skills, and physical strength and superpowers. On rare occasions when doing this, she also removes it from the person who she has borrowed it from, I suppose. She considers her power a curse, as it is anyone she touches, and she cannot control it. I did find a couple of sources that have stated in the very recent Marvel comics she did eventually learn to fully control it, but for the majority of Rogue, she hasn't been, and that's kind of been one of her key features.
I do remember her hospitalizing Gambit, because...
He hospitalized a few people.
Yes.
Because I've got it, Rogue's powers first appeared when, as a teenager, she was flirting with a boy named Cody Robbins.
Cody.
And slightly unexpected to her, Cody kissed her. And this resulted in him being comatose permanently.
Wah.
Yeah. So her first and, maybe not only, but certainly her first kiss basically turned a guy into a vegetable.
I'm pretty sure she kissed Gambit. That's why Gambit went.
Yeah, I think she has kissed people later on. But her first kiss, canonically, basically made someone brain dead.
Well.
So.
Oops.
I mean, that's quite true. Yeah, exactly. That's quite traumatic. Which is one of the many reasons she considers her power a curse and actually genuinely doesn't like having her power a lot of the time. The power works by her skin emitting involuntary high voltage jolts. So I guess it sort of uses biological, like electricity, because that's a thing that is in all people.
Biotricity.
But yeah, so although that is a thing that is within all people, hers is kind of just emitted in jolts into anyone. So it is interesting to note that when she does absorb things from other people, even if they don't have superpowers, she will still absorb their like memories and skills.
Yeah.
So, because I know when we both sort of gave our clues last week, we had a quick thing after the recording where we sort of said, oh, it'd be interesting because John McClane doesn't have a superpower for Rogue to steal. She could still like zap him, and then get maybe like his skill with guns and stuff.
Yeah.
Because traditionally she doesn't use guns because she doesn't need to.
Because X-Men.
Well, yeah.
X-Men don't use guns. Wah.
No.
X-Men don't kill people.
Rappers do.
With guns.
Yeah. So the transfer of power or skill or whatever is usually temporary, but the longer she was in contact with the person, the longer the temporary transfer is. However, if she holds on to somebody too long, it can become permanent. As a young woman, Rogue accidentally permanently absorbed the power of Carol Danvers, who was the original Miss Marvel.
Right.
Back in the days when you were allowed to call it Miss Marvel, because obviously they've updated it to Captain Marvel for the MCU, but as to not be patronising to women.
And because it sounds cooler.
But yeah, she accidentally absorbed the original Miss Marvel. And this gave Rogue the ability to fly at subsonic speed, to have super strength, super stamina, super durability, super reflexes, super speed, and the ability to repel bullets and resist most poisons and toxics. It also resulted in Carol's mind within her psyche. And this dual mind made her very hard to psychically probe. Even Professor X struggles to look inside her mind.
Yay!
And, he's supposed to be the best at it. I've also never seen her repel bullets. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't read many of the comics. It's just, in my youth, I did watch the cartoons.
Because it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've never seen a version of Rogue that can repel bullets.
No. Well, I mean, how much of that stuff are you having anyway? If that was stolen from someone else, is that like part of her canonical?
It was a permanent thing, though.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was canonical. Yeah, it was a canonical permanent steal. It happened before she joined the X-Men, when she was like still a teenager on the run and such.
Yeah. I don't really remember.
I can't remember how it was.
I don't really remember any of that.
Yeah, that was why she could fly.
Yes, I do remember her flying.
But it was all the same instance. She stole Miss Marvel's power.
I see.
It was also the reason she has super strength and like generic superhero stamina, where she can be beaten up and not die.
Hooray!
Yeah. And with her time in the X-Men, she has been trained sufficiently in hand-to-hand combat, but probably to a reasonably similar level that John McClane has, because, police training and that. But yeah, so just even when she isn't able to use her powers on people, she's reasonably good in the fight. And she's been trained to resist subtle psychic attacks. So even sort of gentle probing and stuff that normal people might not even realise that they were being psychically challenged, then she would notice
Gentle
and be able to resist it. But that's pretty much Rogue.
And she has really cool hair.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the original X-Men cartoon, she has really cool hair. I don't know about the other stuff because I've not seen it.
Traditionally, she has like the white streak.
The front part is like white and the rest of it is red.
Yes. Cool. So now we've introduced both our characters. The thing to do is to find out where they're fighting.
But how do we do that? I just don't know.
What we need to do is get out our, obviously not trademarked or copyrighted, but it really should be, rolling device we refer to as the Die of Death.
Die of Death.
So today's fight is taking place in a city street.
I mean, yeah, that's fairly tame, isn't it? And arguably the most canonical for either of these two to actually reasonably have a fight.
Yeah, I believe they could just...
Like, John McClane, he's a police officer, he's on the street. Rogue, she's an X-Men, she's on the street. Not that they sleep rough or anything, either of them. John McClane probably sleeps rough. All right, do we have a city in mind?
I was trying to... the X-Men are from San Francisco.
I mean, John McClane's American as well, isn't he?
John McClane is from New York, yeah. So either of those is fine. But basically just a city street.
Is it well populated with people?
I almost want to say no. I'd like to, just for some reason, a deserted street with two on either end, kind of
like a spaghetti western, but not at all.
Yeah, exactly, but really modern.
Why do they call it spaghetti western?
Suburbs. I don't know. I'm both eagerly moving to Google.
Okay, but why is it? Apparently it was coined by Alfonso Sanchez. Well, apparently they used to be called Italian-style westerns in Italy, which is where they... And so maybe people just went, well, spaghetti is Italian. Oh, there you go. That was as good as mine.
The spaghetti western has a lot more violence and action than a regular western.
Okay, there you go. So, might have been called it because it was Italian-style and people associate spaghetti with Italian and they kill people more.
Yeah.
All right, so City Street, there's going to be some parked cars, some regular cars. If we're in America, there will be fire hydrants above the ground.
Yeah.
Important to know.
Sure.
Probably a couple of bins, and if it's empty, that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah. I imagine there's probably some like newspapers blowing along like sort of, urban tumbleweed.
How big is this street,
If it's an American street, usually they're pretty big, aren't they?
I'm just wondering how far our combatants are going to approach each other from.
Should we just say they're at either end? So, like they're both on
the corner? Same corner?
No. So, like, I don't know, if you've got your square, they're at like corners 1 and 3, so to speak. So, like, down, like, just like down a side.
Oh, yeah. But I was thinking how long is like a block? Because interesting, because I went to New York recently. So they've got,
right.
I might be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure they had streets and avenues, right?
Okay.
And I can't remember which one was the longer one. So, like, their blocks aren't square; they're rectangular.
Right.
And one of them was, like the equivalent of 3 in the other direction. So, if we're saying like street, then I feel it needs to be on the street length.
Yeah.
The streets are the longer ones. The avenues are the short one. Sorry. Okay. Well, I mean, yes. So the distance between streets is short. And the distances between avenues is long. So therefore, if you are on a street, at either end of a street, is a bigger distance. Let's measure one. Random street. East of 46th Street is 150 meters long.
Blimey. Let's not have them 150 meters apart. It's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. Well, we could put them along an avenue, and therefore they'd only be 70 meters apart.
That still seems quite long, but okay.
All right. Well, try to be authentic.
Yeah. No, that's fine. They can start 70 meters apart. 70
meters apart. It's a new film featuring Bruce Willis and Rogue.
I'd like to, because, I feel like we always used to have us two in there somewhere, but we haven't.
Oh, yeah, we haven't.
I feel like really the last time we were in the background was like the Disney cruise. I can't think of one since then.
Yeah, we just.
So I'd like to feel like us two are just. There's going to be the only other people on the street is us two and a hot dog vendor.
All right, yeah.
And we're just like there having a hot dog while this fight is going on.
Are we each having a hot dog, or are we fighting over the last hot dog?
No, we're each having a hot dog. We're just watching. We're kind of like the Stanley
cameos. Yeah, sure. I mean, I know obviously canonically this is because we were being bullied by each other or something. So I was just wondering if we were still feuding with each other, with our fictional selves.
You know what? I almost feel like by this point, it's a year has gone by since we've almost kind of made up and like got over it. But the problem is like sometimes feuds go on and people don't even remember what they're fighting for. So all of these people are still fighting on our behalf.
Yeah. So like it's kind of like in the at the end of the World War when the Japanese were like hiding in the in the underground.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah. So like
they didn't know the war.
Yeah. So we hired all these excellent characters, really cool characters to defend our honor and stuff. But we forgot to tell them that it was over, and they've just been in a queue waiting for that time to shine. Silly people. But there you go. Right, so Rogue is one end of a street.
Yes.
Avenue. John McClane is the other end of the street avenue, and Mr. Avenue. We are on the opposite side of the road to make it easier. In the middle, getting hot dogs. Begin. Let's go. Honestly, I feel like at 70 meters, I don't think if I was walking down that street, if it was empty, I'd be able to recognize someone straight away from 70 meters.
No.
I mean, maybe I would, but like, I'm not sure.
I mean, I can only assume that both of them are on this street to get a hot dog, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, Rogue needs to steal the abilities of a hot dog. She needs to be delicious for her next date with what's his nugget?
Emmett.
Oh no, the one who got comatose.
Oh, Cody.
Yeah, Cody's on. Yeah, she feels bad. She's gonna go to him. No harm in kissing him now. He's already a vegetable, so she can do whatever she wants. Give him a cheeky. I don't think she should do that, but we're going off topic again. And by we, I mean I. Again.
Yes.
How dare you insinuate that on her?
With horrible insinuation.
What are you on about? Yeah, so
they're both heading down the street until such a point that they recognise each other.
Well, yeah, it's probably going to be like, what? Somewhere between...
20 minutes?
I was going to say somewhere between 30 and 50.
All right. Well, should we say 30 minutes?
Sure. Why not? It's a distance. It's an arbitrary distance. An arbitrary small distance. John McClane is going to be like, hey, you're that goddamn bitch I need to kill.
And she'll be like, well, sugar, aren't you just some sort of family-friendly insult?
Can't use some old trop or something like that. Even though he's not that old. I mean, like...
In my mind, I got aren't you just a piece of shit? And then I was like, no. I need a family-friendly version. And I couldn't think
I mean, canonically, John McClane is old, but when people think of John McClane, they think of like Die Hard 1 to 3 John McClane, who's not that old.
No, in his 30s, really, is the...
Yeah, probably mid-30s. So that's obviously the John McClane we're bringing. We're not bringing in bloody, like, 60-year-old John McClane. That's crazy. Silly. Anyway, speaking of John McClane, he has a gun. And you know what he likes to do with guns? He likes to shoot crims. And in this instance, old Rogie lass is a crim. So he's going to whip out his gun. And to be honest, he'll probably... I don't know if it's a fight to the death, but he'll probably ask her to freeze and like.
Yeah, well, because it's not necessarily a fight to the death.
Yeah, that's true.
We have always established that people can submit.
Yeah,
it just doesn't come up.
And this is before where he's had a gun at people and asked them to, terrorists told them to put the gun down before he shoots. So I reckon he would request the submission of force from Rogue. But I would say put the gun down. She doesn't have a gun.
There we go.
Surrender and come with me.
She would potentially try and catch him off guard, and also her ability to dodge incoming gunfire. I think she would take flight.
I mean, it's an interesting choice. Surrender and come with me flies away. No.
I think she'd head towards him.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't think he'd necessarily be expecting it.
No, I mean, he comes from a very normal world. Where people
he comes from the normal world.
Yes, he comes from the world where people don't fly. Welcome to the world where people don't fly. Everyone's on the ground and I don't know why. No one's underground and the people aren't bears. If someone flies, everybody will stare. John McClane's looking at Rogue. That didn't go very well, that second part. Not gonna lie, but we tried.
Okay, so Rogue's flying towards him.
I mean...
But I think she's flying towards him in a kind of zigzaggy...
Yeah. I mean, John McClane's obviously going to try and shoot her. There's no reason for him not to.
Do you think he'll hit? I mean, he's good with
He's a
guns.
pretty good gunshot. It depends how good Rogue is at zigzagging, because you've discussed that she doesn't have super speed. So how fast is her zigzag flight?
It describes her flight as subsonic speed.
I mean, that's anything under 330 meters a second.
For like comparison, she's not one. I don't know. She seems to fly at about the same sort of speed that all of the flying Marvel characters fly at. Slightly faster than running speed.
Slightly faster than running speed. Okay, that's a good speed, kind of running speed.
Should we call it about 10 miles an hour or something?
She flies at 10 miles an hour. What's that mean per second?
I don't know.
Oh, neither do I. That's why I'm Googling it. 4.5 meters a second.
I mean, that's pretty fast, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's like half as fast as Usain Bolt at his max. And he runs fast.
But not for very long. He's like a cheetah.
Yes. I mean, he doesn't cheat. We're not saying that kind of cheetah. We're saying like the animal. That was fucking wonderful. I'm sorry, cheetahs everywhere. All cheetahs listening and, their relatives. I'm sorry.
F in the cat for cheetah.
Press F to pay respects for cheetahs.
I said S in the cat. I was doing a pun.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, if we're saying it's about running speed, to be fair, it is hard to shoot someone who's zigzagging at at running speed. Like, I would say he'll probably have his work cut out with the first couple of shots where she's further away. To get a good shot on, but probably by the time she gets close to it, and he'll probably have enough time to. I mean, according to the stats, if she's 30 meters away and she's zigzagging, so she's going more than 30 meters. Say she's going on at 40, he'll have about 10 seconds. So, and if he's got a standard gun, I'm assuming it's going to have a clip of like somewhere between 8 and 16.
It'd have been 12 or 15. I would have thought maybe 9. Maybe one of those 3 numbers, if games have taught me anything.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere between 8 and 16. Should we say 12? I don't know what kind of gun it's got.
Okay.
But, you can't just go bang, 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 bang.
No, it's not semi-auto.
No, and he's got to aim.
Standard fire.
So probably like bang, bang, bang. That's like 1 a second. So chances are he's going to get 4 shots off, which are going to be difficult to hit. A couple of shots which are going to be middling to best to hit, and then he's going to get the remainder of his clip out at reasonable odds to hit before then immediately running out of bullets while she's in his face. So whilst Rogue's, she's probably going to get hit with like 1 or 2 at least. Probably, let's say 2 or 3. But I don't know what Rogue's damage resistance against bullets is.
A Glock 19 is the gun of an NYPD, and it has clip size of 15.
Ah, cool.
Or magazine capacity of 15.
Well, we weren't far off.
Oh, I said 15, didn't I?
You did. Well done. Yay.
Thanks. Nice when I know things. Well, like I say, officially, according to her canon, because she's absorbed most Marvel's abilities, she can repel bullets.
How does that work? Do they just like bounce off her, ricochet?
I don't think they ricochet. Yeah, I think they just sort of have little to no effect.
All right.
So, I mean, she'd be aware that she's shot and probably not that happy about it, but she also won't really be that injured by them.
All right. So she's flying and zigzagging towards, and John McClane's like aiming up and lands a couple of hits, wonders.
Maybe I feel like he'd hit her once and but then be like, maybe I didn't actually land that hit. And then he'd get her again and be like, that one definitely didn't work, and I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be the same situation as in the second film of Die Hard, where he has that gun that's got just blanks, and he like fires it at this guy, and he's convinced he's hit him, and he's confused as to why he doesn't go down. He's like, I don't understand. Why didn't he go down? Then he discovers they're blanks. So he would be like, what? I don't understand. Like, I swear I've hit her a couple of times, but then she'd be in his face.
Yeah, and then she just sort of punch him right in his stupid face.
So she's going to go for a flying punch.
Yeah.
All right. Rogue's wearing gloves normally, isn't she?
Yes.
I was going to say, she normally like takes off her gloves to do the old steely powers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she would have gloves on the standard.
All right. So she's going to punch him. It's not going to steal any of his excellent array of superpowers that he has available.
No.
And to be honest, if she's flying, I assume that she's flying and doesn't just come to a standstill and fucking go punch, but, like a kind of Superman thing, just like bowls him straight over, I'm kind of assuming.
Yeah, I feel like she'd probably come to a standstill after the punch.
Yeah, so one would guess she'd bowl him right in the chin or somewhere. John McClane would inevitably
drop like a sack of shit.
Yes, he'd absolutely be bowled backwards, and she'd probably fly just beyond him to land on the ground, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, John's well versed at being in close combat. It's not what he's supposed to be, but he's had a fair amount of experience of it. I don't imagine one punch would, especially as with his experience, I don't imagine it would be enough to dislodge his arm. By arm, I mean gun, not his actual arm.
Sure.
Well, I think that he's experienced enough to go, well, I need to keep my gun on me, because it's not as if he doesn't even see it coming. Fair enough if he didn't see the punch coming, but he's literally been staring at this woman flying towards him for the last couple of seconds. But he would definitely go over, and it would definitely hurt. And he'd be like, "Oh, you bitch!" He'd be swearing his fucking mouth off like anything crazy. John McClane probably wouldn't even try and get up. He'd probably just like on the floor try and swing his arms up, with gun to look around and just scrabble on the floor to try aim and shoot with the last couple of bullets before he needs to reload.
Okay. I imagine Rogue would just I think she'd try and want to run over to him, maybe give him another quick punch, keep him down before she tries to glove off.
So what are these old bulletos going to do? Because if she was stood on the floor and now she's running at him, I don't imagine he's going to have much trouble. He's probably going to miss one because he's on the floor. But if we said he had another 2 or 3 left, he's probably going to get another 2 shots in.
I know, I was just saying, I'm not sure necessarily if he would try and shoot at her, if he was convinced he hit her before, but it had no effect.
No, I mean, I think he would, because he's still got bullets in his gun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure he'll consider reloading it, but...
Fair enough, but use up what he's got, because he might as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I imagine that maybe also will hit her. And again, it would be the sort of thing, she'd feel... Yeah, she'd be annoyed that she's been hit. It's not but it won't really do much damage to her, so to speak.
Okay, so if she's now running towards him, she probably won't have landed far away. John McClane's going to run out of clip, so he's probably going to, as discussed, not even bother trying to reload because he's in a precarious position. He's going to be like, well, if my gun's not working for some reason, I could beat this bitch up in a fight.
Yeah. Do you reckon he'd actually just try and use the gun either to throw it at her or use it as a hitter with it, as metal would hurt?
Yeah, what, you probably would, because people, if you whack someone around the fucking head with a Glock, it's going to really hurt.
I'd have thought so, yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. I think he wouldn't throw it away. He'd keep it on him for Glocking, bam, purposes.
Yeah.
But she's running towards him at the minute.
Yeah. Well, her plan is while he's on the floor, she's going to give him, I don't know, hit him again or give him a good kick in or some sort of thing to, hold, wind him or, put him down a bit more. Keep him on the floor, I guess. So to give her time to take her glove off and then zap him with her power.
Yeah.
But as he's out of bullets, I guess he'll be trying fighting position.
Yeah, so I mean, he was on the floor. If she comes over and goes for a punch, I mean, he's not unfamiliar with being all scrabbly and having, quote unquote, unprofessional fights. He has a lot of scrappy fights.
He does.
So he would absolutely be well in a position to A, take the punch, and B, then probably grab her leg and try and pull her over.
Yeah, I imagine he'd be able to do that. Then they'll both be on the floor.
So he grabs her leg, he pulls her over, bam, she falls onto the floor.
Because, as I sort of stated earlier, I reckon her sort of X-Men training and his police training would probably leave them at a similar sort of skill set in hand-to-hand combat.
I don't know, how much experience has Rogue had with that kind of stuff?
Probably quite a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking, because John's had a lot as well. I wasn't sure he would have had more.
I imagine they would be of similar sort of skill in fighting.
Yeah.
But just where she's got enhanced strength, I imagine she hits harder.
Yeah. All right. She'll hit surprisingly hard and John McClane will be sad.
But like you say, he's probably used to a lot more Because don't get me wrong, the villains that Rogue fights on just, not necessarily day to day, but, a semi-regular basis, are probably more grandiose and take over the worldy than the criminals that a policeman would fight. But I imagine your everyday street thug probably uses a lot more underhanded tactics in fighting. So maybe he might slightly have the edge on her. Dirty he's willing to fight to achieve his means, or how dirty he's used to people fighting.
Yeah, I think he's probably, like, as you say, if they were doing if they were at some professional championship for fighting, they'd probably be fairly even, probably Rogue even having an advantage from just more. But in this kind of where they're both now on the floor now, like going to be having a very scrappy, messy fight, I think John probably has a bit more of an advantage with it.
At least more familiarity. He's probably been in more of a street brawl than Rogue has.
Yeah, but anyway, he's pulled her to the floor, and she would have been like, "Howie." she wouldn't.
Howie, she about 4. Howie, mister.
Howie, you hurt me. They're both going to be. I mean, rolling around on the floor is stupid. They're both going to be like scrabbling to get into a position where they can, John McClane's going to be scrabbling up to try and get her into a position where he can just like kick her and keep her down in the old classic, like where people are down on the floor and they get kicked and kept down and punched and chastised and all that jazz, all that wonderful goodness that makes up an action fight. Action fight. Punches left and right. Action fight.
Very musical today.
Yeah, it's a musical day. Haven't watched any musicals. So he's going to probably, after grabbing her and putting her down, try and stumble up into a advantageous position.
Okay, so he's getting into a more advantageous position so he can sort of kick her while she's down. So I reckon he can get himself up.
Yeah.
And then he's going to give her a good kick in.
Yeah, I mean...
She's going to be like, damn, that hurts.
Yeah, and he's obviously going to go for, like, the head, as they all do in films. Those kicks where people are like stumbling up and they get like proper wallop, like football belted in the head. Yeah, one of those, a football belter.
Oh, a toe punt to the nose.
A toe punt. Yeah. So so he stumbles up. She's scrabbling up as well because she was taken probably a bit by surprise, and he gives her a proper boot in the newt,
which would probably knock her back down.
And he's gonna, if she goes back down, this seems stupid, but he's probably gonna, you go to straddle someone either side so you can get good punches at their head.
Yeah,
that's very John McClane.
Sure. Now, this is what I thought might happen. I feel like, I can see what you're saying, and I understand, get on top and then give them a good punching into the face. It's a good way to defeat somebody if you're trying to kill them.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a very big issue with this, though, because he's going to punch Rogue in the face once and then get bipped by her ability because he's touched her skin.
Yeah, how potent is it if it's like a very brief contact? Because it is a brief contact.
It does say, the amount it affects the person she uses it on is, she gains their abilities and they get, I guess, hurt by it more the longer it is the contact is prolonged. So I guess for just a quick thing like that, it probably wouldn't phase him too much, and it probably wouldn't get his abilities for very long at all. I'm trying to think. It's been a long time since I've watched the cartoons, but thinking more to the film version of Rogue as an example, I know she does because obviously in the films her love interest is Iceman, isn't it? So they kind of do the thing where if they have a brief kiss or something, then she can just breathe little frosty breaths and stuff, and so they can do a very brief contact with no effect to the other person, and it just gives her a mild ability.
Okay, all right. So I'm thinking based on this then that old McClaney boy, he's kicked, he's given her a good toe point, he gets over her, gives her a punch, possibly feels something, but I don't think it's going to affect him that much. So I think he's going to carry on, but you've already described that Rogue also has a pretty decent amount of resilience.
Yes.
I think that being punched in the face is the perfect time for her to kind of, whether it's stick her hand under her leg so she can get a bit of, give to slip her glove off or something. She'd probably although it's going to hurt, fake the vulnerability.
Mm. So you mean do like a play dead and then sort of grab him?
Not even necessarily dead, but definitely vulnerable, to be able to get her glove off, because that's going to be the requirement here. And then
I don't necessarily agree. I don't think she's very much more of she's not necessarily so much one for the cunning and deceit.
Okay, fair.
I think her priority would just be to get him off her.
Okay.
And like you say, I think maybe he'd get one or two good punches in, but like you say, as she's got sort of quite a good resilience, and probably just try and like maybe grab his hand or something and roll him off her.
Okay, so in which case then, like a punch feels maybe like something like equivalent to like a small static shock, and it's just like it doesn't really do much. Another punch, he feels a grab on his leg or elbow or something.
Oh, maybe, because like I say, she might get a small sort of idea of him.
Yeah.
From this brief contact. If she sort of learns about the fact, like from his memories, and goes, this guy's been shot in the shoulder a few times, and gives him quite a hefty jab to his shoulder, that'll do something to get him off her.
They were different shoulders, I believe, but either way, that's fair. I mean, they almost certainly scarred. I mean, I've not been shot, but I imagine a shot would scar quite considerably, especially one through the shoulder. So yeah, that's a really good shout.
Gives him a quick jab to his scar tissue.
Yeah, I imagine, because she's got knees as well. Not that John McClane doesn't have knees. I'm just saying, if he's leaning over her, he'll be on her torso area. She'll be able to get a knee in as just a kind of like opener, if you will, and then a punch into the old shouldery. And
then I feel like, so that would cause him to fall back, which would then give her the opening.
Yeah, so she then jabs him in the shoulder, and he's like, and that gives her an opportunity to grab him and get him off her onto the side. So now they're both on the floor again. That's classic John McClane.
It's about this time I go, hey, wait, that was a really nice hot dog.
Yeah, it's quite enjoyable, isn't it? I didn't like the fact that they added mustard on it, but, be good.
You should have asked about.
Yeah, but,
But yeah, no, I'm glad we came here and got these hot dogs.
Yeah, what's happening over there?
They're on the floor again.
Bloody hobos.
Meanwhile, thousands of millimeters away.
Thousands of millimeters away. I mean, Rogue's now got the momentum, if you will. John's gone down. He's going to be scrambling around again, because just pulling him off of her isn't going to be a game changer. It isn't going to be like a strong window or something. It's just a good thing. But equally, it has pulled him off for the minute.
Yeah, and it's just to give her time, like I say, to get her glove off. She always only ever seems to take one glove off.
Yeah, so she's probably scrambling up to her knees and taking her glove off at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And John McClane will say something sarky like, is it gloves off now, is it?
Yeah, classic action hero.
Classic action hero.
But I feel like the difference is where she's going to be taking time to take her glove off, he's going to be preparing his next attack. So I feel like this is when she's going to take the back end of a Glock to the face.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know what happened to his Glock, but we forgot that he was probably going to hold on to it. But if it fell on the floor somewhere, he'll, get the Glock and try and he's going to go for the head again, because that's what he's got to go for. It seemed fairly effective.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to try and go for a Glock on the head, whether he's on his knees or just up or whatever. But he stumbles up and gets his gun and goes for a whack. She'd probably managed to get her glove off by this point, I would have thought.
Yeah. I think she'll get her glove off, but then be hit in the face.
Yeah. Then gets hit in the face with a Glock, which is really going to fucking hurt.
Yeah.
How badly is that going to affect her?
I feel like that would probably hurt a lot and maybe sort of disorientate her a bit. I mean, it's not something that she would be expecting.
I mean, if she visibly recoils a lot, I think John would try and take this opportunity to reload. Take a step back clear and just reload quick while saying something sarky and action hero-y.
Do you think he would, or do you think he would just, I don't know, maybe go for a headlock or something, strangle her out?
I mean, given that he's got his gun and he does have extra ammo with it, and he's got space to take a step back, he's definitely.
But he's also shot her a few times and seen it to be ineffective.
Well, that's true. That is true. It's a tough call. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, he's probably forgotten. Yeah, and he does like a good rumble. He's had quite a few good rumbles. All right, fair point. So if he's glocked her once, he'll probably go for a secondary glock again.
Right, over the back of the head.
Yeah, whatever part of the head is available. Forehead, the front head, the side head, the rear head, the underhead.
Yeah, so I think that's very much going to mess Rogue up.
So she's probably going to get knocked down and probably again onto the floor, possibly face down, or face up or face down. It's important.
Face down.
Face down. And John, again, if she's now on the floor, he's going to need to straddle her again in classic action hero pose. But at this point, and he's going to go for some more head being. But I think at this point, if Rogue's probably feeling a bit
concussed,
yes, and she knows, and she's on her front, she's probably just going to go for a grab, with an ungloved hand. I'm trying to think where she'd grab him, because if it's just his leg, it's fine. But if it's his ankle, that's the area where the trousers are probably going to be a bit up from it. They've been rough and ragged.
He'd have socks on. I think really, if she would only be if she can get his arms.
You say he has socks on, but I mean, if you were leaning on top of me and I grabbed around your ankle area, I'd be able to get skin contact.
No, my socks go up higher than my trousers.
I don't think John McClane is, being that they've already been in a bit of a fight, his socks aren't going to be perfectly all the way up his leg, are they? They're going to be a discord. And even if they weren't, she'd be able to wriggle about a bit, claw, to pull the trousers up and get some skin contact.
Okay.
It's all a question of where does your hat. I don't have a second person to experiment with. I need to put some. I'm gonna put my trousers on the bed and a t-shirt and guess. I might talk. Right, one second. This is important. Kind of research. I'm kind of really trying to work it out, because if she only gets as far down as his knee, it's not ideal, because it's quite hard to grab someone's arm while you're face down. But if it goes as far back as the ankle, I think she's in with a good shout. And where Dr. Pepper bottle is. And my ankle is where this ball of string is. So if I now lie down, okay, so I mimicked straddling someone, estimated where their head would be using a Dr. Pepper bottle, then marked the same position of my ankle with a ball of string, then put my head on the floor as if I was the person lying down next to the Dr. Pepper bowl, and I could reach the ball of string, literally at the limit of my reach. I could grab it comfortably. It wasn't like a touch.
That is because you are the same height as the people.
I am the same height as myself.
Rogue is, yes. If Rogue is a smaller person than John McClane, so you'd have to compare their heights, right?
Okay, let's do some the things we thought we wouldn't need to research.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to have a height of John McClane, but they are going to have a height of Bruce Willis. 1.83 meters.
What is it in feet and inches?
It'll be about 6 foot.
Because Rogue is 5'8".
2 inches is 5 centimeters. I don't think that's enough of a difference, personally, because if your arms are
you said it was at the very length, very...
Yeah, but what I meant by that was I could grab the ball and string comfortably. It wasn't as if I was eking it with my finger, just going scrape, 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 scrape.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be fair to both combatants here. I feel like she'd be able to grab around his ankle area. Now, she would have to take some time scrabbling up a bit, in which duration she's probably going to take another 1 or 2 Glock hits. So it depends on how well she holds up to those.
She'd probably... I don't know, because I mean, she's got the superhuman resilience and stuff, I guess, but she is more used to just being hit with normal fists. The fact that she's being wailed on by a gun, that would really hurt. And the fact that also, as she's been doing it, it's probably hitting her head into a city floor, so concrete.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, that could be enough to, I guess, cause enough of a disorientation, concussion, head trauma, all of that to make her not able to scrabble about and coherently and just kind of flail towards him and not get a good grip or anything.
So in the films, it's slightly different, but when people are being strangled and they're so close to getting something which is the game changer, but they just lose their strength before they get it.
Yeah, well, it's a similar theory. It's severe head trauma, like you just lose all coherence of what you're trying to achieve.
If you think that's the case, then John McClane is going to carry on with his submission strategy.
Right, until her head is just a bloody mess on the side of the next to him. Probably by this point, somewhat broken gun.
And then he's just going to show up his police badge and be like, don't worry, guys, I'm a police officer.
Did it for the force. She was a terrorist.
She was a terrorist.
Now about that hot dog.
About that hot dog. Bring him over hot dogs. Oh, you're John McClane. Oh, I said Bruce Willis a minute ago. I mentioned that.
Yeah, I think that's probably how it's ended.
Wow. That one was close. Like, really.
I think if she managed to get a good hold on him.
Yeah, honestly.
Or even if she just started the fight without gloves on.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, bloody thing. Yeah, but I mean, it all came down really to how much she could handle, and if she'd been able to handle a couple of more, she would have definitely got him, because she would have been able to scramble up, hold against him, and that would have, after holding for a couple of seconds, John would have just been like drained, and then it would have been GG.
Yeah. And this is like the thing as well. It's hard to have a frame of reference because, yes, she is supposed to have superhuman resilience and stuff. But I've also seen her get beaten up in cartoons and stuff before. But where X-Men is a family-friendly franchise on the whole, I'm sure there are some adult X-Men comics out there. I don't have a frame of reference for her being pistol whipped into the cockpit.
Adult rated ones, by the way, are called triple X-Men.
That wasn't the sort of adult I meant, but sure. I'm sure that also exists.
It always certainly does.
It is also probably called Triple X-Men, either that or C-Men.
I mean, that was an interesting part. Not yesterday. Last time when we introduced them, I didn't know that Rogue had the power to deflect bullets, so I expected.
No, I didn't either.
So I expected John McClane to win anyway with bullet power. But then you brought that to the table, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Now it's going to be, interesting."
Yeah.
And as you say,
when I read that doing the research, I was like, "Oh, well, clearly she'll."
Yeah.
Like I say, I think they'll be similarly matched in a fight, but she'll just have to touch him. But then she never really got an opportunity to get a good grip on him.
Yeah, as you say, like if she hadn't been wearing gloves, but that's part of her standard uniform to protect others around her, ironically, then she might have had a chance. But I think John's, as we went into, John's slightly more experience with scrappier fights paid off.
Yes.
Wow. That was a good one, though.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Poor Rogue, though. She was cool. But I mean, everyone we're bringing is cool. That's why they're here.
I'll be honest with you. Rogue has been on my list. Well, kind of has been on my list since quite near the beginning. It's just one that's just
not rolled
come up through chance. Yeah, but I've always liked the idea of having a character that takes the opponent's abilities, and it is constantly on my list swapped between whether I've had Rogue or Kirby, and they've just gone back and forth depending on my mood because I couldn't decide which would be better.
Fair enough.
But then I thought, because of Kirby's sort of some of his backstory and stuff, he's actually probably a bit too OP, so I sort of on Rogue.
Fair enough. Wow. That means that John McClane has earned his Mish.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I like John McClane more, so I'm kind of happy with that.
Happy days.
Because, Die Hard is great.
Die Hard is great.
You heard it here first, kids. Die Hard better than X-Men.
I mean, I'd rather watch all the Die Hard films than all the X-Men films.
I'd rather watch all the Die Hard films except Die Hard 5.
I would still rather watch all the Die Hard films rather than the X-Men.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, there's less of them. It takes up less time.
It is less than them, especially if you can animated X-Men films. Be there forever.
But hey, that therefore is the end of that. So next week we'll have a new competitor review.
We will.
Who's it going to be?
My character for next time, my clue for the character for next time, to be more precise, is a video game character.
Ooh.
But from a video game based on comic books.
Okay.
And this character started off as quite a young, naive girl that you had to look after. But by the end, or the later parts of the game, has actually grown into an absolute badass.
I'm not sure I know this person.
I don't think you do, but you should, because everyone should play the games this character is from, because they're incredible.
I see.
And they are very well known. And I guess the only other clue is to say that the thing that she's become good at surviving against is zombies.
I'm trying to think, because you said it was based on a comic, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know.
That's fine. But that's my clue.
Cool.
So, as ever, we've been part of the TTSS over at tinkertailorsoldiersponge.com. You can go there and check out our podcast as well as others. There has just been a new episode of Dr. Wilko's campaign for Better Beverages go up, where he talks all about gin. You can contact us over on the Twitter at podcastmmm, or you can email us or using the address podcastmmm@tinkertailorsoldiersponge.com. If you tell us how you would have had your New York holiday, then by all means, that's something we'll be interested in. You can also go to either of those places if you want to suggest characters to take part in future episodes. As mentioned, John McClane was a fan suggestion. It's good the fan suggestions are coming up more often, I think.
Hooray!
Yay. You can also suggest arenas for the fights to take place. Did you think City Street was a bit boring? So did we, but I can only think of so many. So suggest us some places. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Mr. Wade?
I was doing a bit of music exploring yesterday on YouTube, and I found a song, and I can't stop listening to it. It's like the weirdest 80s kind of ABBA-y metal.
ABBA metal?
I mean, it's not actually ABBA.
Waterloo!
And it's not that kind of metal.
Oh.
It's called Touch in the Night by, what is it, like Black Beast or something? Battle Beast. And it's just really funky. Give it a go.
Cool. I've recently discovered 2 cool new bands.
Yeah.
As well. Both Japanese bands, but I've discovered Bandmade, who are like a sort of all-girl Japanese rock band. They're really cool.
All right.
And their bassist is sick as fuck.
Yeah.
And I've also discovered a Japanese pop-punk band called Fact, and they're really cool.
Cheers.
Bye!
Catch you all late.
Join Mike and Tom for nerdy conversation with a multitude of guests on Hat of Many Things.
Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I'm Mark, a librarian and professional wrestling ring announcer.
Cast League of Legends.
Soteros Filbricato, best known for my work with White Wolf and Onyx Path Publishing on the World of Darkness.
Hi, I'm Jason Carl. I'm the producer of V5 at White Wolf.
Yeah, my name is Johanna Pettersson, a Finnish game designer.